Good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of the Men's Lounge. Today we are here, and again, let me remind you that we are coming from a week and a weekend of celebrating men. One of the things that's very important, if you remember last week, I did say that it was time for us to pamper the men. Let me know if you were not pampered. Send your wife's details to me or your girlfriend, and we'll deal with them. It's very, very important. We can't be left out like that. And so once again, let me welcome you to this evening's show. Let me again urge you to start connecting already with us on all our social media platforms at ETV Ghana. So on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, at ETV Ghana, you can be part of this show. Our WhatsApp line is also open already, 02022222054. Remember, 02022222054. The last thing I'd like to also remind you is that we're still in our automobile series month. We're doing a lot of automobile discussions and especially road safety tips. It's very, very important, as you can see on the screen. It's very important. I mean, especially when it's coming to the end of the year. You and I know it gets very busy, traffic and all that. Let's not abuse the traffic rules. It's very, very important. I'll just remind you, there's Dampare watching. And so don't get yourself into trouble because he will not, or you will not be spared by the Dampare boys. Let me just call for this very first break. When we are back, I'll introduce the topic and I'll tell you who is here to do the discussion with me, and then we move straight to the point. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, we are in the lounge already and we're about to start our discussion. So I'm already getting text messages from men whose women did not pamper them. Please, 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 if you hear my call, pick up because I'm about to give it to you. It's very important. I don't know why you didn't pamper the men. When it gets to your time, we do everything possible to make you smile. And it's our time and you don't even want to mind us. Anyway, so there's a research that in recent years, there has been some steady increase in the number of suicides, especially when it comes to men. Men are taking their own lives prematurely. I mean, if you take 3-4 months behind, you'd notice that from all walls of professions, policemen, even doctors, teachers, all. I mean, it's there and it's happening. Suicide is what we are discussing today. What exactly is happening? How do we address this menace? It's a menace to us, the men, because research has also proven that even more men commit suicide. Women think about it, but they don't do it. But as for men, the moment we think, it's done. Why? How do we stop it? How do we curb it? It's very important. And so with me in the studio today, I have Dr. John Sedofia. He is not new to us in the studio. It's just that he hasn't been here in a while. So Dr. John Sedofia is a licensed psychologist and a member of the Ghana Psychological Association. Doc, Akwaba. How's the week been for you?
It's been good.
It's been good, eh?
Yes.
So last week there was reading of the budget, and it's obvious a lot of people have shared their thoughts about it. Give me your brief thoughts and whether it can help, it can make people commit suicide.
That's an interesting one. But I'd like to disappoint you. I have no thoughts on the budget.
It's okay. It's okay. At least you are okay for now.
Not to have any thoughts.
Oh, you desire not to have any thoughts. It's good. So, Doc, you know, worldwide, suicide or taking one's own life is more prevalent, and among males than females. Why do you think it's among more males than females? Before you even go there, there's this one I want to find out from you. So last week there was International Men's Day, right? And I put it out there that I want to make sure every man is given one of the best treatments from their spouses, your side chicks, your girlfriends, whichever. I thought every man should be given that treatment. Maybe some foot massages at some spa. Some wives should even be able to buy cars for their husbands and their boyfriends and all that. Well, not wife and boyfriend, you know what I mean. And so this is a quick one just to find out from you. Did you get the treatment?
Whether I've been pampered or...
Have you been pampered?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you were pampered.
Interestingly, my wife didn't listen to you, didn't watch your show.
Oh, but she still pampered you.
Yes, she does.
I have a box of
And I have
pizza
to
for
say
her.
a big thank you to Ivy.
Oh, wow. Ivy. Wow. So Dr. Sedofia says that you did something nice. And just for that sake, I am sending you a box of pizza from Cheesy Pizza. Okay,
I'll
make
take
sure
it
you
away to
collect it
her.
from him.
I'll take it to her when I'm leaving.
I will check that whether she got it or
In
not.
fact, I'll take it from you.
Okay, take it from me before you leave. All right, so I was asking that why does it seem so prevalent amongst male to commit suicide than females?
Good, thank you for asking. That is the staggering statistics that we have, and it is a global picture. And it says that men commit suicide more than women. There are some reasons which can be attributed to genetics. It could be psychological, it could be social, it could be cultural, so many other factors. But then the statistics says that one of the things that causes men to commit suicide more than women, it's family issues. When men have issues in their families, particularly the married ones, and there are issues that they cannot handle, sometimes they think that the best way to solve or handle those issues is to end their lives.
Wow.
Unfortunately, that is not correct, though. Another issue that drives men to commit suicide is the communication, the kind of communication that we give men, especially when they are boys. You know, it is not only in Ghana or Africa, men or boys are told that you are a boy, you can't cry. Men don't cry. Things like that. So as I said, it's not only in Ghana nor in Africa alone. Even in the European world, men or boys are told not to cry. That kind of communication goes into their psyche. So they grow up, become men, and they are bothered about issues, or there are issues that are of a grave concern to them, yet they cannot talk about them because we have taught them that men don't cry.
And so
or
they
men
box
shouldn't
everything.
act or do certain things.
I see. So they box everything in themselves and they
box
don't even have
everything.
anyone to speak.
Exactly.
Wow.
So it gets to that point when they decide that I can't take it anymore, let me end my life. I see. So those are some of the issues that cause men to have suicide ideations and actually go ahead to commit the act more than women do. But the interesting part of the data is that women actually conceive the idea more than men.
But they don't do it.
They don't do it.
So why?
That's the funny part. So I'm calling on my colleague men to begin to think twice, wise up.
Maybe we should be asking them what they do otherwise.
Exactly. I've heard a story about some people who were on a high-rise building, and then one says, I'm going to push you down. And then the other says, yes, that is the agreement. When we do, I'll give you money for that. Then the one who brought the idea decides not to do it. You see, so at this point, who is wiser? You see. So what I'm trying to put across is that men, please wise up. The fact that you are men doesn't mean when you conceive the idea of suicide, you should go ahead and do it. No. Our folks, the women counterparts, are cheating us. They conceive the idea more than we do, but they don't do it.
So how is it? Is it that they are smarter, or they probably have a bigger heart? They're able to deal with these things better than men.
That is what I'm saying. Good. So the dynamics are many and varied. Yes. The data says that women are able to talk about the issues that bother them far more than men do. Men, as I said earlier, bottle things up. They bottle them up to the point that they can't take them anymore. And when they want to act, they act.
They just act.
Yes.
So at what point, or how does a person get to the point of saying, I want to kill myself?
Great. Yes, there are issues in life. I don't call them problems, but some people call them problems. And I like to encourage people not to look at those things as problems. They are issues. And I say all the time that life is full of issues. When you deal with one, another one comes to take its place. So for some people, they don't have this deep understanding of the issues that are in life and the fact that when you deal with one issue, another comes to take its place.
Yeah.
So they think that a successful life is a problem-free life, so to speak. So once they have one issue or the other, they begin to think the best way to deal with the issue is to end their lives. So one of the things that causes people to come to this conclusion is loneliness. Loneliness kills.
It does?
Yes, it does. And it causes people to kill themselves. Sometimes some people become so lonely that they think the whole world is against them.
Okay.
They think there is nobody who thinks or cares about them. So they think that if nobody thinks or cares about me, then it means I do not matter.
Then I might as well just get myself out of this world.
Exactly.
Wow.
Unfortunately, that is not correct. Yes, that is not correct. Other times, some people feel life is not worth living. So they look at their lives and they think that
Could have been better, or it should be
life has
somewhere.
no meaning for them. They think about their jobs, they think about social relationships, family relationships. If they are involved in heterosexual relationships, they look at all those things and think that the life they are living no more has any meaning for them. So they want to end it. Sometimes some people also become so hopeless and helpless that they think that suicide or killing themselves
It's just
is
the
the
option.
only way out.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that will cause or drive people to come to that conclusion that I want to end it all. And as I said, unfortunately, these things are not good or correct. As we move ahead, I believe we'll be.
I mean, that's
getting to the
terrible. I
point.
mean, it's, you see, the content and the reasons you give for these things, sometimes you wonder if there should be real reasons why somebody will commit it. But the fact is that it's actually happening.
Great. And that is the point where we need to wake up and reason and understand that, yes, these things do happen. For some of us, when we listen to these things, we listen to people who have suicide ideas or thoughts, we condemn the kind of things they say or they tell us. And we say, how can you talk like that?
But we fail
But
to actually
exactly.
find out what is leading them to.
We fail to appreciate the kind of things they are going through.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm happy to be here for us to discuss that.
I am equally
and then,
glad that you are here.
Get to understand that all of us have a role to play in reducing suicide in our society.
Great. That brings me back to asking this. So, in the research that I saw that men are committing suicide more. Currently, what are the rates of men committing suicide as against women? I'm sure the women is zero.
Thank you. You know, usually when we are discussing suicide, we need to contextualize it. That is, place it in the social, cultural setting within which the issue is being discussed. Because somehow, social and cultural factors have a role in suicide. Yes. So worldwide, yes, the data says men are committing it more than women. In Ghana, indeed, the rate is going up, and permit me at this point to read out some data. According to some information I have picked from 2016, suicide rose by 1.37%, and then by 2017 it rose again by 2.78%. Then in 2018, it got to 5.71, a very high rise. Then fortunately in 2019, it remained the same. So the data I have got me up to 2019, and the current suicide rate in Ghana per 100,000 population is 6.60. That is the data for Ghana.
But it's still high.
It's still very high.
Yeah, it's high. And
It's
this is
still
for
high.
the entire, or for men.
For men.
Wow,
For men.
it's high.
Yes.
It's so why are the numbers growing? What is it? What's causing it? Apart from these things, generally, why are the numbers growing? Is it that generally there's a certain wave of stress blowing, a wind of stress blowing in the minds of men or in the problems of men, or what?
Yeah, that could be part of it. Another thing that is part of it is, you know, the general news about suicide, particularly those who are successfully committing it. You know, there are some people who attempt it, they don't succeed. Other people succeed, unfortunately, in doing it.
Yeah.
So those things are all part of the reason. Some people are of the view that there is general economic hardship, particularly worsened by COVID-19.
Yeah.
People have lost their jobs. Families are broken down as a result of hardships, economic hardships brought on them by COVID-19 and so on.
Yeah.
And so some people are beginning to lose hope. Some people who have lost their livelihoods to COVID and all those things are beginning to think that suicide is the best way out.
This is
But
very.
again, I'm saying
It's not. Yeah. I mean, we all have to play a role in helping these our friends and our brothers who get to that extent of thinking that suicide is the way out.
Yes.
So, is there a particular age that the thought of suicide begins from?
Yeah. Generally, there is no particular age because even children these days are committing suicide.
Children.
Yes.
What would be their reason? I mean,
That's funny.
I'm just wondering, what would be
Yeah.
their reason to commit suicide?
Funny. Adults are equally committing suicide.
Yeah.
But the research says that generally between ages 35 to 54, that age bundle, people commit suicide more. But the data again says that particularly people from age 65 going, they are at a greater risk. That is men from age 65 going at a greater risk of committing suicide. So the point is that generally between 85 to 54 years, those people commit suicide more. But from 65 and above, men are at a higher risk of committing suicide.
I see. You know, the statistics of this whole thing makes it quite scary. I mean, if you're a man like I am listening to this, you begin to wonder if there's any, any soft landing for men in general. I want to assume that there are social factors that's also, causes men to think that the way out, I mean, at that level, the way out is suicide. But let me find out this from you. I'm very much aware, as you said earlier, that society puts a lot of pressure on men. From childhood, you are told that bemen su. I mean, as for a man, even you see all these things makes the man look like a superior being. And for that matter, you don't want society, you don't want your family, you don't want your friends, even the most closest people, you don't want them to know that you are suffering. How do we, I mean, these are obviously factors, right? So how do we work around this to bring it back for men to realize that, oh, after all, it's not that bad. Women go through hell. But in the end, they don't even commit suicide like we are doing. How do we turn the tables around?
Thank you. It's very simple. We have to go back to the way we socialize. Especially, the way we socialize our children in general, and the way we socialize boys and men in particular. If we tell our boys or men that it's okay to cry as a man, it's okay to cry as a boy, it's okay to be beaten by a girl.
Hey?
Yes.
Okay to be beaten by a girl.
Okay,
That one
yes.
will accept too.
It's okay to be beaten by a girl who is stronger than you.
Well, of course, if the girl is stronger than you, don't try it.
That's a point.
Okay.
You see, of course, you can't be beaten by a girl who is not stronger
Any
than
random girl at all.
you. You see,
I mean, how?
good. You see, so if we try to let our boys or men understand that, then they will not grow up, become men, and have that thought that, hey, me, for a woman to do this to me, this is and that is what I have to do.
Yeah.
No. So socialization is key. So in your preamble to the question, you mentioned a lot of things. All those things boil down to social factors to suicide. Yes. And as I mentioned earlier, there are social factors, there are cultural ones, there are genetic ones, and so on and so forth.
I mean, I'd like us to go into some of the genetic ones, because then I'm not sure. Okay, so because can there be a family where there's a history that
Great point.
people commit suicide?
Yes. And once you belong to a family that has a suicide history, you are more predisposed to it. It's just like any other health condition like diabetes or certain things that
but
are
you see,
within the
I'm not
family
sure
line.
how someone will see suicide as, oh, after it's in the family. So I'm struggling to get myself to understand that
Here is
that
a
aspect.
point. Once someone in the family line has committed suicide before or has succeeded in committing suicide, it becomes like part of the family line. So there are chances that another person in that family is likely to commit suicide.
I mean, from where you sit, you definitely have had cases or issues, or you've heard in your researches of. So there are people like that.
There are.
Wow, I find this very, very, very weird. But
and those are the genetic factors.
Those are the genetic factors. Yes. Interesting. Let me find out this. So one of the factors that leads men, obviously, into suicide is loneliness, right?
Yes.
And oftentimes we find something to get us out of the house to be happy. Obviously, socializing, being out there, having the fun, so that at least you get yourself out of this. Now, the other side is that as a family man, too much of these things also can be an issue. And even in the life of a man, a lot of it also is an issue to our health. We are trying to prevent suicide in that aspect. However, some of these things that will help us prevent that loneliness that will lead us to suicide is also detrimental to our health. What should we do?
Good. You have failed to be blunt, so I will be blunt.
Of course.
What Nana is talking about is alcohol.
I mean, yes. I mean, alcohol, womanizing. I know it's things that take men out of their lonely corners.
The data says that substance use and alcohol are also causative factors to suicide.
So what should we do now? What should we do?
So what you should do is not to get involved in substance use, not to get involved in the other one you mentioned, get involved with women a lot, because that can also cause suicide ideation.
Obviously from psychological effects of issues and all that.
You see, because if you get involved in a relationship with a woman and then things go south and then you can't handle it, some people may think suicide. So as the rule goes, everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation.
Everything.
Well, so as the saying and the rule goes, everything in moderation. You do this one small, do that one small, but please don't attempt this. You can think of it and laugh about it, but just don't do it. Let's go for a break. We'll be back shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are here in the studio discussing suicide. It is something that's quite prevalent amongst men than women. The women are doing it, but they're not doing as much as the men are. And as men, we find it we find it a menace. It's dangerous to us. It's something we don't want to wake up one morning and half of the men in this world are gone. Hey, already we are not even enough, and half will also go. No, it will be very bad. And so it's something that we need to discuss, find solutions around it, help each other, talk ourselves out of it. How are the women able to do it? Let's ask them if we have to. It's okay for a man to be asking a woman for advice. Let's ask them. Let them tell us how they go about it. Let's learn. Let's cry small. They are there and they are shoulders. We can also cry on their shoulders. We don't always have to give them our shoulders. Let us also cry on their shoulders. In fact, the most cry on their chest. That's even better. Okay, let's go to them. It's okay. When you were kids, you go to your mother and they put your head on their chest and you are excited. It hasn't changed. Go back and let's cry on them. Let them tell us how we can avoid all these things. Doc, I'm back.
Welcome
so, thank you. So, in all their sessions, I gather that there is some level of depression that obviously after a while psychologically affects people, and then suicide can happen. Linking depression to suicide, is this something that serves as a catalyst to it? Does it make it happen quick, especially when a man gradually shows signs of depression? Can it be a catalyst to suicide?
Not just not a catalyst, it's a direct cause.
It is directly.
Depression is one of the direct causes of suicide.
So it doesn't, depression that doesn't even just affect a man's mental health.
No,
suicide is also.
Yes, suicide is a mental health issue. In fact, that is why the Ghana Psychological Association and many other well-meaning Ghanaians are calling for the decriminalization of suicide, because it is a mental health issue. It is not, as it were, a criminal issue that we are made to believe, or now at least we have come to understand that it's a mental health issue. Yeah. So depression, in fact, hastens suicide ideations. When people are so depressed, it can lead them to quickly think of suicide, unfortunately.
Interesting. I have a question from a texter that's asking that, do you call it suicide also when young people, as you did mention from the start, that even young people are also, I mean, it's happening. Do you call it suicide if a young child or a young person out of a mistake must have tried a substance and died? Is it also suicide?
Okay. Suicide by definition simply refers to taking one's own life.
So irrespective of whether
knowingly or unknowingly.
It's still suicide.
Yeah. So once you take your life, your own life, it is suicide. You can take a substance, you can throw yourself in front of a moving vehicle or out of a moving vehicle, you can throw yourself from a height. Whatever you do that takes your life results in suicide.
So it doesn't matter how.
It doesn't
as
matter
far
how
as
you
it's the person took his or her own life, it is suicide.
That is it.
Okay. So, well, you are answered. He says that whether it was a mistake, whether it was some experimenting that caused or led to it, it is still suicide. So let me just find out this. We live amongst people who concede the ideas of suicide. Unfortunately, so we don't even get to know. We think they are okay. They even smile with us. They talk to us and all that. How can we tell that somebody is thinking of suicide? Somebody's planning to do it. Somebody's is gradually getting to that point where it's easy for the person to commit suicide. How do we see this?
Thank you, Nana, for asking that very important question. I'm happy you asked, because we need to know the signs, we need to know the signals, so that when people are conceiving suicide, we can easily detect it and then get help for them or get them to seek help. One of the things that can tell us that someone is conceiving suicide ideas is when they begin to talk about saying goodbye to people. They say it in a way that suggests that they are going to leave you, go somewhere where they will not return in a long time. Once they begin to talk like that, it should be a signal to you that they are conceiving suicide ideas. Other times, some people also begin to give out their valuables in an unusual way. So my emphasis is on the word unusual. Unusual giving out of valuables. This does not mean when you give out gifts to people, it simply means you are conceiving suicide. No. When people are giving out their valuables in an unusual way, it can be a sign that they are conceiving suicide. It means that for them, the world has come to an end and they are planning to take their own lives. So they want to give out their belongings before they do it. So once again, I'm emphasizing the word unusual giving out of valuables. When people do that, it can be a sign. Another sign is unusual loneliness.
But hold on. What if somebody just, for example, there are people who feel like, oh, I want to give out, something. I want to dash something out because I'm a philanthropist. I am a good person. Is it questionable?
No, that is why I'm emphasizing the word unusual giving out of valuables.
Okay.
Yeah, so we all are encouraged to be kind, to give out what we have to, especially people who need it. So, yes, you can give things out, but when it becomes unusual, for example, you give out the house you are living in, and give out the only car you are using, the only house you are living in, it's a sign that the person may be thinking of suicide. Then I was going to mention unusual loneliness. And again, I'm emphasizing the word unusual because almost all of us can be lonely sometimes. We can feel lonely or we want to isolate ourselves. But then, people who conceive suicide also feel lonely and they isolate themselves in an unusual way. So once you notice that this person is isolating himself or herself in a much unusual way, it could be a signal that the person may be conceiving suicide.
I see. But you made a point that's, draws my attention to something. For me, it kind of sounds unusual. So I thought suicide obviously will be warranted by someone who the issues, you have issues to deal with and it's consistent and and all these things are happening. And I thought, in quotes, people who probably are unsuccessful in life or they have a certain expectation of achievements that they are not there yet would commit. But if somebody who has a house and a car and is giving out that as a signal, does it mean that rich people also commit suicide?
Well, of course, yes.
But why would a rich man commit suicide? What again?
Good. Much as economic hardship can lead people to commit suicide, people who don't have economic hardships, that is, people who have, they have, quote and unquote, they have, can also think about suicide because it's not only economic hardship that causes people to commit suicide. Breakdown in relationships. So someone may be rich, but is isolated, is lonely, feeling lonely because there is a problem in his or her relationship, heterosexual relationship. That alone is enough to cause the person to think suicide.
I no. Look, this one, so I'm rich. I have the money, I am well-to-do and all that. And I am lonely. How does that happen when you can almost flaunt your, you can pay for almost everything?
Yes.
How?
As we say, money is not everything.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's
so
not, but
some people have money yet are lonely. Let me explain also that some people have money and have certain terminal illnesses. So illnesses can cause people to also think about suicide. They think that they have been diagnosed of a certain disease and they are told that that disease has no cure, and they think that if I have a disease that does not have any cure, then the best way is to kill myself, particularly a disease that people conceive to be, quote and unquote, a taboo.
Like how we used to see AIDS.
Exactly.
I remember when it started and we're hearing about AIDS when I was much, way younger. I mean, if you ever heard anyone, I remember a couple of years ago when we heard about AIDS, I thought it looked like kwashiorkor. I mean, the description of it and everything made it look like it was.
And funny enough, in our part of the world, one of the ways we want people not to catch it is to put fear in them. Okay?
Yeah.
So we tell them, for example, that do you want to look like
Exactly.
an AIDS person?
And how
So
does the AIDS person look like?
That is stigmatization in the first place.
I agree.
So for a wealthy person who unfortunately contracts HIV, AIDS, that person may think that if I end my life, it's better than to live with the shame.
But you see, that is where I don't get it.
Yeah.
You have whatever disease that you know you have a certain limit of time to probably live. Would you rather not enjoy that little time left than to commit suicide?
In fact, that is the point, and that is the point we have to be emphasizing. So what I have said is not in any way to justify those people's reasons for committing suicide. It's just to explain some of the reasons they have for doing that. So it's better to live your fullest within whatever time you have to live, I mean, on earth, before, if it is true that you truly die out of that terminal illness, you go. It's better, far better than to take your life.
Yeah, Doc, I think this one I totally agree with. I don't see how, for example, I've been told I have less than 6 months to live. And because I'm not happy about it, I just say, you know what, it's enough. 6 months, I don't even want it. I want 2 days, and I just go and kill myself. I mean, how? When that 6 months, something could even change.
Thank you. This even reminds me of a story I read about a writer, very popular, one of the popular writers in the world. He was diagnosed of a terminal illness. So he was told that he was going to die in 3 years' time. He accepted the challenge and told himself that if I am going to die in 3 years' time, and thank God I know it, then I know what to do with my life for the rest of that, I mean, the 3 years. So he sat down and started writing. He wrote for more than 3 years, he never died.
For more than 3 years?
He never died.
Do you think then he,
and
at
he
that
wrote
point...
so many books as a result. So he became one of the world's famous writers.
Maybe we should start scaring people by telling them that you have 2 years, you have 1 year.
Because I believe it probably... That man did it. You are not sure if you will do it.
But you see, what I see from the story, or what I could read from the story, is the fact that he probably found purpose and value in his life.
And that's the point we are making. That if, for example, you are diagnosed of a terminal illness and then you think that you know your death date, there's no reason to take your own life. That's the point we are emphasizing.
Well, it's actually a very, very important point. There's no reason to take your own life. Let's go for our very last break. When we are back, the phone lines will be open. I'd urge you to call, share with us your thoughts, ask questions. Send us, keep the messages coming. I've seen quite a number of them coming on the console, so keep them coming. And please stay with us. We'll be back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're still in the studio discussing the issue on suicide, especially the ones that are quite... I mean, it's obvious it's prevalent to men, and that's what we are discussing. And I'm still here with Dr. Sedofia, a very good friend of ours, and he loves to come to the lounge. Maybe today I'll be asking him why he loves coming here. Maybe there's something he's seen that I don't know. He will answer me today.
It's because it's the lounge.
It's the lounge for the men.
For the men.
I know that's right. Okay, so knowing what we know now about why, the whys and the reasons and everything, how do we stop the men from committing the suicide? How do we begin to solve this issue? How do we begin to prevent men from getting there?
Thank you. I'll expand the question to cover everybody, but then narrow it down to men.
Sure.
Generally, there are a lot of things we can do to prevent people from conceiving suicide ideas and from carrying it out. One of the things we can do is to be generally alert to people's feelings, people's behavior. We need to get to know people from the way they do things, the way they talk, the way they behave in general.
Yeah.
So that when there is a change in their behavior pattern, we are quick to notice it and then put our, as we say, put our eyes on the ground, our ears on the ground and see whether the behavior changes we are noticing are unusual. And then we can quickly press the alert button, get help for them, or get them to seek help where it is necessary. So being alert.
Being alert.
It's one of them. Another thing we can do, particularly in our part of the world, is to be socially supportive. You know, we are a social people. We are not individualistic. Social people means that whatever affects you in your house affects me in my house, or whatever affects me in my house affects you. That is why we organize funerals the way we organize them.
Yeah, yeah.
That is why when there is an issue in people's houses, you find other people nearby, I mean, neighbors coming around to show concern. Unfortunately, we are gradually drifting away from our social life into an individualistic life. So that, so much so that you see Ghanaians put up their buildings and the fence around it with barbed wire, I mean, all those things.
Yeah.
So when they have issues, you are unable to get
help.
closer to them,
Yeah.
listen to them, because sometimes listening to people vent their anger or, I mean, talk about the issues that are bothering them is one way of helping them to let it out or let it go. So we should strengthen our social ties. We should strengthen our communal habits or behavior and get to know people more.
Yeah.
Assist them when they need assistance. Whilst I'm at that, I'm reminded, or I remind myself that some people know of this about our communal life, and they try to take advantage. So they come around to dupe us. They come around to tell us funny stories. I have lost so and so person, or I have lost money, I need this, I need that help. People make it their habit. Yes, but then we can begin to think through and decipher those that tell the truth from those that actually need help. So we should strengthen our social ties. We should also try to take harmful objects and substances away from people we think are at risk of committing suicide.
Okay.
Yes. So if those people, for example, have firearms, we should make sure that they do not use firearms. If they have substances like poison or anything that they can take which will cause harm to them, we should make sure that they do not have those things. And importantly, we should encourage people to seek psychological help.
I was actually coming to that, especially from the point where I have been able to, now I know the signs to look out for. So if I notice that my friend is developing something, I was going to ask you whether, so what should I do? Should I call the police immediately that, look, I suspect this guy wants to kill himself. 911, where are you? Or should I call the attention? Because you see, this is my friend. He doesn't see that he's getting there, but I'm seeing it. And so he doesn't see the point to see a psychologist. Now, do I just call a random psychologist and say that, look, I think my friend needs help?
Thank you.
Is that what I should do?
That's a very good question. In some jurisdictions, there are actually hotlines that you can call. You mentioned 911. You can call and then you get help from a counselor. In our part of the world, we have not developed those systems yet. But fortunately, we have the Ghana Psychological Association that is readily available to assist anybody that needs help.
Okay.
It's also ready to assist anybody who seeks help for another person.
For another person.
Yes, so you can call any of the lines, and fortunately for us, the Ghana Psychological Association has hotlines.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
can we put them out? Can we put the hotlines out so that people get to know? Because I will be very much interested in making sure that when I spot that somebody, I want to call and report. Because I will call the police if I don't know who to call, I'll call the police and say, look, I suspect this guy wants to do something. Please come and arrest him and interrogate him before he even gets there. So let's put out the numbers so that people can know these numbers.
Good. It's interesting you mentioned a bit about the police.
Yeah.
And let us be careful about that one, because we are trying to call for the decriminalization of suicide. Because if you call in the police, definitely they are going to send that person to court, and there are chances.
Sometimes, these are laws, you don't get it.
That is it.
So anyway, let me just leave it there, because I was going to pass a comment that no, it's okay. Let me just leave it there for now. And so what are these numbers that
I was making a point that fortunately for us, the Ghana Psychological Association has some hotlines that can be called, and the most interesting part of it is that we have various language groups.
Okay.
You can make a call in English if you are comfortable with English.
Yeah.
If you are comfortable with Akan, you can make a call in Akan, in Dagbani, in Nzima, in Neve, in Hausa, and friendly. So on. Yeah. So let me put out just a few of the numbers.
Go ahead.
For Akan, you can call 020 889 3103.
020-889-3103. Okay.
For Akan. There are quite a number of others. I will leave some of these numbers with you.
You should, and then we'll share them to all the people who, yes.
For English, you can call 054 700 8173.
Okay.
054 700 8173. For Ga, you can call 0244 6565 23. 0244 6565 23. For Dangbe, you can call 0244 814 997.
Okay, so 0244 814 997. And that's for Dangbe, right?
Yes, for Dangbe.
Well, so the numbers are there. I mean, let's not feel like we don't have anyone to talk to. Let's not feel like we cannot help. Let's look out for each other. It's very, very important. I'm going to pick your last words, Doc. But I've been thinking about this. So this issue of decriminalizing suicide, issues with the police, from the point or from where you sit, how do you think it should be dealt with?
The best way to deal with it is through engagement, through dialogue, through discussions. And I am happy to announce that these engagements are ongoing. We haven't gotten to the point where it has been scrapped from our law books yet, but we are positive and we are hopeful that we will get there. The Mental Health Authority is championing that strongly. The Ghana Psychological Council and then Association is equally involved in that. Other civil society organizations are involved in trying to get suicide off our books as a criminal offense.
Okay.
So definitely we are hopeful that we will get there.
All right, this is all that time can allow us to bring you. I'm very happy Dr. Sedofia passed through. I've enjoyed myself with him. He's given me a lot of insight, and I'm sure you also have had a lot of information from him. I'm going to give him the last words. He has something to tell us all, and then after that, we'll say goodbye to you and hope to see you next week. Doc.
Thank you. What I have to share with listeners and viewers is that please avoid depressive behaviors. Anything that eats you up, please reduce it. I have said that I'm not going to allow anybody to use their dirty feet to pass through my mind. Please, I'm sharing that with you. Do not allow anybody to pass through your mind with their dirty feet. When they do, they give you depression, and depression can cause you to think about suicide.
Okay.
But then, just in case you have suicidal thoughts, please do not consummate it. Do not commit the act. There is help for you. I have announced the Ghana Psychological Association numbers already.
Yes.
Or walk up to any individual counselor like me or any other counselor you may know, and you can get help. You can go to the mental health hospitals. They are also there. Or walk up to any medical officer. They will be ready to assist you. So life is sweet. We need you. Ghana needs you. Your loved ones need you. You don't need to kill yourself.
So you don't need to kill yourself. That is what Dr. Sedofia is telling, and I totally agree with him. If you kill yourself tomorrow, who will be there to watch me? Who will I be sitting here to talk to? We'll see you next week with another exciting episode. Please stay safe.